The Magic Flute was originally commissioned by Schikaneder to be performed in Theater an der Wien in 1791. And Theater an der Wien was not a high-class theatre. It was a theatre for the people, which meant that the tunes had to be popular. So Michael Levine, the designer, and I, when we first started this whole project, were thinking, well, what was the Theater an der Wien like? And how can we sort of create that sense of excitement that they must have had about Mozart finally writing a popular piece for a popular audience? What did that first audience in 1791 see when the overture of the Magic Flute began? Well, at that time, the orchestra was very often on stage. So there was a very intimate relationship between the musicians and the singers. In the 19th century, the opera pit descended into the bowels of the earth. So we decided it would be wonderful, as part of the design, to lift it up again. You can touch on this relationship between musicians and singers. Theater an der Wien was a very modern theatre. They had all the latest technology. They had extraordinary ways of bringing in scenery changes, and they also had extraordinary sound effect. What we've done is we've taken that idea and we make the sound effects on stage. And it is a Foley artist, and you will see her producing the sounds in front of your eyes.
Traditionally, a Foley artist spends a lot of time in a dark studio making sounds for TV drama and film. Whatever the actors do on screen, I mimic. So if they're walking through grass, if they're walking through leaves, I will walk in time with them. This opera has a few scenes of dialogue, which is quite unusual for opera. And the idea behind this production is to neatly segue from the drama and the emotion of the singing into those scenes of dialogue. And they do that by using sound effects, and that's where I come in. So the character of Papageno has a lot of interaction with birds. And so one of the sound effects I make towards the beginning of the show is the sound of birds flying away. Which is quite nice because these are just gardening gloves. It's a real mix of high-tech and very low-tech in the Foley world, and I think that's what we've managed to achieve with all of these lovely props.
Also in 1791 in Theater an der Wien, of course, there would have been wonderful scenic drops and so on, but rather than doing painted backdrops, it's simpler if we just have two very simple screens and we project onto them. But rather than having a set of projections, which is sort of already in a computer and you press your hand, we make them live. So there's a live camera, and you can see the video artist, and he is really an artist, drawing on a chalkboard, putting pictures in front of the camera, working with little silhouettes and so on. So again, that aspect, the visual aspect, is also being made live in front of your eyes.
Simon and I and Michael, the designer, talked about wanting to have the board visible to the audience while I'm drawing on it, which requires placing that camera basically right in front of it. What really helped me deal with the camera and deal with all the different things I have to do is listening to the music and following the music, and the music really dictates how the letters come out and how things flow out. And so I see myself as kind of creating a visual embodiment of the music in real time.
You have to remember that Magic Flute was written in a time of huge social instability. Things are moving. You've got a revolution in Paris. Is it coming to Vienna? Are the peasant and the working class finally going to revolt? Is blood going to run down the streets? Are we being told the truth? Are we being given fake news? What is it that we actually believe in? It's an unstable world, and this piece appeared at that time. But the overall journey of the piece is, how can we change the way that we think? That's the journey of the characters. And I believe secretly, and this is, of course, what fired our imaginations as we were creating the production, that for Mozart, the way that you can change the way that people think is through music. The piece is called The Magic Flute. The flute is magic. When it is played, people behave in a different way. Things happen. The proposition for Mozart, somewhere in his being, I believe, is that he can write music that is so startling and so beautiful that when people leave the theatre, their consciousness will be changed and they will see the world anew.